and kids, being whipped and everything like that. And some guy whips a kid, and then it cuts to a push-in on Harrison Ford just standing there, like, what's up? And it punches him, and then he falls, and then the kids know, okay, it's on. We got a hero.
What's your favorite scary movie? Swallow this.
Look at this, John Fallon. We are back once again, stepping out of our comfort zone today. How have you been, buddy? It's good to see you.
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I had a really good. We're recording this right after 4th of July weekend, basically, right? So really good 4th of July weekend. Took the fam to the beach, did some parasailing, soaked my nuts in cold water because California. No more motion in California. It's just freezing cold all year round, dude. Doesn't matter. June, July, August. It is fucking cold, but I had a great time, man. So what about you?
Well, same stuff, man. Survived.
Well, look, guys and dolls, today we're going to take on a film I've always enjoyed, but man, I really enjoyed it on this watch. But before we get into that, let's get the brass tacks. What are you drinking?
Well, in honor of one of my favorite movies, which, I guess we should also say is we are definitely stepping out of our comfort zone on this. Not personally, but I think for the channel, and I'm excited.
Like in terms of the type of movies we usually cover?
Yes. Yeah, this is something you and me would do. I think it's a little out of the ordinary, but I like this stuff. I think this is kind of stuff that builds character. And in honor of a movie that I've always loved, I went back with my Woodford Reserve and made myself an old-fashioned.
I got the creme of la creme. Creme.
I used to drink that with a lot of Sprite back in my day, so it is what it is.
With some Coke.
Whiskey and Coke, that's good. I respect that.
Okay, I thought you were going to bust my balls.
No.
Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to all of you.
Hello, my friend! Hey!
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Oh, yeah. Nice edition, bro. Let me see that again.
It's an old steelbook from Best Buy. I don't know. I haven't seen it ever since.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Of course, I am from the generation that grew up watching these on VHS. They're on TV. I absolutely love them. I spent my formative years, of course, at MGM Studios watching the stunt show.
Yeah.
Dude, always loved it.
Yeah, man.
Still there. Last time I went. But as I've talked to you off camera, and I'll say it on camera, of course, the two that I loved most would be, I got the Raiders of the Lost Ark edition of that, and Temple of Doom. But which may be a little more against the grain. I think Raiders is a better movie, but for me personally, I've always preferred this because I think it leans into my sort of cynical tendencies. It's a little bit weirder, darker. There's a lot of things about it. And I think in terms of set design, it is absolutely beautiful. I love Temple of Doom, flaws and all. And after this rewatch,
what
I think
flaws?
Kate Crapshaw.
I didn't mind her.
I mind her probably more, but whatever. I don't care because everything else around this.
Okay, well, sorry, I got ahead of myself. We'll get into the negatives a little bit later on. Let's just, kiss the movie's ass. And
I was doing it. Yeah, I know. It's a fantastic movie, John. I'm assuming you saw this in theaters because that seems to be our.
No, I did not. I did not.
Look at you.
I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark on beta. First time I ever saw that movie was on beta. And I'll always remember it. It was a huge thing in my family. That fucking movie was a huge thing. And I saw Temple of Doom the first time on VHS. But watching it now today as a quote-unquote grown man, quote-unquote, what it has that Raiders doesn't have is breathneck pacing. I mean, this movie never stops, bro. And actually, if I remember correctly, that was a problem when they had the first cut that came out of Temple of Doom. They're like, you're not giving the audience room to breathe. So Spielberg went and shot more establishing shots and stuff to kind of buffer in between action scene to action scene. That's one thing I recognize on this watch from the opening, in the whole like Shanghai, bar, the James Bond opening.
The Bond, yes, the Bond.
Because Harrison Ford is basically dressed like Bond in one of the Connery ones. I forgot which one, but he's the white tux and everything like that.
I think everyone does a white tux except for Dalton, right? Isn't that the whole? Maybe in Brazil. Yeah. But you're right.
I know, but I know it was Connery inspired. Yes. I know that. And I forgot which one. So maybe you guys indulge, remember which one it was specifically? Comments below. Then the plane. Then they fall. Then, they get to the village. Then they get to the palace. And then they get, into the underworld of the palace. And then bang, bang, bang. This movie never fucking stops moving. And even when it's not moving, it's moving. Like the banquet scene, with the chill monkey brains and all that stuff. That's still engaging. You're still like, okay, I'm moving. This movie never stops for a pee break. And when you watch Raiders again today, great fucking movie. On paper, a better movie than Temple of Doom, in my opinion.
I agree. It is.
Temple of Doom, I think, is more entertaining.
Agreed. I love Raiders. It's one of my favorite movies. I put these. I almost never watch these separately. I always tend to do a marathon. But like I said, I always prefer Temple for the exact reasons you said. And let's look at the dinner scene, right? All that is setting up that something is not right. It says things are a little weird. People are a little kind of creepy. This isn't just some random little mansion in the middle of nowhere. Like okay, but that's good because we're getting information. We're seeing that little cool. I always call it the Glengarry kind of talk, which is just my way of referencing like two guys just basically fighting with words, and it's Harrison Ford just kind of talking shit to can't think of his name. He's been in a lot of good stuff. Or Roshan Seth, I hope I'm saying that correctly.
The prime minister guy, right?
Yeah, and they're going back and forth. It's like, well, I was hearing that there's this little thing, and the guy's like, no, Indy, you're wrong. He goes, well, maybe, and they're just kind of tit for tat.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so now we're building up the background of this. Who Indy is, and he's like, well, Indy, I what about when you were considered a grave robber in this? It's like, well, that was greatly misrepresented as was I. And I was like, oh, look at this.
And wasn't it the Sultan of Madagascar who threatened to cut your head off if you ever returned to his country?
No, it wasn't my head.
Then your hands, perhaps.
You're fucking playing chess. I'm digging that. I'd like to actually, if you could start from the beginning. I love that opening scene. I love the fact that it starts with dancing. Only because it reminds me of the great movie Ride, still named Jim Studios, real classic shit. And it goes straight into, like the turning the table. It's like, okay, I got
that whole bit is genius.
But tit for tat.
Yeah. When he drinks the poison and the bad guy, I forgot his name, the character's name, and I definitely do not know the actor's name.
Well, because he's from Bloodsport. I don't know his name. It's like Ra Chow.
When he reveals that he's been poisoned, his whole delivery, the antidote is like, antidote for what? The antidote for the poison you just drank, Dr. John. Some shit like that. Genius delivery, man. That whole opening, the whole thing with the table and the sound design on it, genius. Just pure genius. Even when Indiana Jones' friends gets whacked, then he's holding him, as he's dying. He's like, Indy, we have been on many adventures or some shit like that, whatever the fuck. It's awesome.
It's just awesome. A bunch of dead friends. No, dude, there's a cool scene. I noticed this, a really good edit where once he's, obviously the place goes wild and it's just, it's a beautiful edit. It's a beautiful camera work of setting up the geography of the scene where things are at, the balloons come down, all the crazy stuff. Indy gets punched, and it's this POV from the camera that just kind of becomes, and he immediately goes, he gets hit, and for some weird reason, it just goes and sacks the chick with the cigarettes. Yeah. It's like, at first, I'm like, oh, I must have got confused. But then I watched it again, it's like, no, he gets hit, looks at her, and just fucking decks her. And I was like, that's Indiana Jones who's there to get business done. He's not having it. He took a sucker punch, and you, miss, are taking the brunt of it. I was like, ah. And of course, the cool little gong leaves behind, the bolts are popping through. Yeah, dude. Fucking fantastic.
I don't know if you're aware of this, and I am going to go back to the banquet scene because
we're going to go. Yeah, I just have so much on the cool opening. I want to throw it in there.
Temple of Doom originated basically from 3 scenes that they never shot for Raiders. So it was the opening in Shanghai, the whole cabaret shit in Shanghai.
Obi-Wan,
yeah, Kenobi, get it? Jumping out of the plane with the raft and then hitting the waters, and the mine shaft chasing. These were 3 scenes originally created for Raiders of the Lost Ark. There was also another one where a chase on the Wall of China, but they couldn't, when they shot Raiders, they couldn't get the rights to shoot on the Great Wall of China. So when they started Temple of Doom, they had these 3 scenes. That's it. All right, now what? And Lucas wanted to. Lucas, man. You know what I'm realizing with old age is Lucas just has the worst ideas. And that explains Crystal Skull, because it was a George Lucas show as opposed to a Steven Spielberg show, in my opinion, from what I know. But Lucas wanted to have Indiana Jones go in a haunted mansion for part 2, after Raiders. Bro, that's the worst idea ever. Just like all those little CGI farting fucking animals you put in your Star Wars restorations, just like the little fucking animals you put in Crystal Skull and monkeys and Shia LaBeouf, fucking
Tarzan.
What do you do? Like, George Lucas has great initial ideas at this point in his life, but just, then cut him out because he's lost the plot, man. That's my opinion.
I wanted to say this because I've been saying this to my friends for many years. Here's the thing. I love haunted houses. I love haunted mansions. I'm a big fan of the ride at Magic Kingdom and all. But here's the thing. It doesn't fit Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is a grounded pulp serial that has sort of mystical tendencies. Like Temple of Doom has some mysticism in it for sure. And so does obviously Crusade. But it's always grounded in that 30s pulp. Haunted Mansion makes no sense. Hence why Aliens it makes sense. And so you're actually taking the character far out of the realm of what it's supposed to be in. But I've always said this about Lucas, and you're 100% correctly. Lucas is a great lead singer that has an amazing backup band. And that backup band, he might be like, hey, guys, let's write a song about gophers. And they're like, give me some else. He's like, lines. There we go. We all like lines. Okay, 4 time, guys. Ready? And that's good. And I like Lucas. But like when Lucas goes solo, when he walks out the band, he's like, I'm going to make my own fucking records. It's like, yeah, and then you can't. Like he needs somebody to be like, hey, man, good idea, but. And there's no but on Crystal Skull, and there's no but on any of the Star Wars prequels. It's the same shit. He needs smart people around him to be like, okay, that's good. So let's talk about this and roll it out. Because if he has complete control and the solo records is making dog shit. And I hate to say this, but there's a reason why Wings is terrible, but Abbey Road is not.
Well, I'm an Elvis guy personally, so we'll leave it at that. To bring it back to the banquet scene, because I just wanted to say this. I was watching the movie, and I don't know if you remember, but, they're sitting at a table, and there's like this British colonel dude.
Oh, part of the Empire, yeah.
Yeah. That's Grady from The Shining. Remember in The Shining, the bathroom scene with Jack Nicholson and like he
washing his hands?
This ghost guy, and he's talking about his daughters or whatever. He's like, well, they tried I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact line, but I always remember this, and I'm sure you guys and dolls remember it too. I corrected them, sir. And then my wife got online, blah, blah, and I corrected her too. This is the same dude. So I looked it up. I'm like, Grady from The Shining in the bathroom. And like an iconic scene, really. Of film.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I'll always remember that. Like even before I knew, it was the same dude. If you tell me The Shining, some people will remember you like, I think there's a bear or some shit getting
getting blown, I believe, yes.
For me, I'll always remember the line, I corrected them and I corrected her. I'll always remember that because it made an impact. And that whole scene's just awkward. It's just weird, with Jack Nicholson overacting like nobody's business and this guy being stoic and just like fucking never blinking. Kind of like Lloyd, the bartender. Now we're talking about The Shining. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's the best part. Where it's like, it's a sunken in eyes.
Like he never blinks. They never blink. The ghost in The Shining never blinks. But Temple of Doom. Sorry. Temple of Doom.
I could tell I'm the kind of guy that when I was watching Temple of Doom, I was like, is that the long arm guy from Street Fighter? An amazing Van Damme movie, by the way. It's not.
Amazing.
No, it's terrible, but I fucking love it. I got to be very clear on that.
I
hate
boring.
it. Nah, you got to watch it again. Watch it again. I had that fucker over there. It's great. No, that banquet scene is amazing. I think it's probably people remember the most besides the taking out of the heart. Because it gets, even I was like, okay, they're eating the bugs and that's gross. And I'm trying to kind of gross you out. Then they bring the monkey brains. I was like, look at this. Look, they're cut open the snake and the little fucking eels come out. I'm like, dude.
What does he call it? Snake surprise.
Well, I guess that doesn't look good, but whatever. He was doing it, I forgot. Movies used to be horny. And I missed that because she's like, oh, what kind? He's like, well, the sexual mixture kind. He's all fucking getting it. Like, yeah, Jones, get it. You know, and he walks away. He's like, and she's thinking she's going to get laid. And he's thinking he's going to get laid. He's going to come and fuck me. She's going to come and bag me. And they're all sitting in the bed. He like opens his shirt, smells like, I was like, there, it's a good scene. And it's quick. Scene. It's popped back and forth to continue your whole thing on pacing, dude. I was like, yeah.
What does she do? She goes like this, I think, at some point on the bed. You know, that's the scene where that fucked the shoot, by the way, surprisingly enough.
Oh, because his back with the assassin, right?
Yeah, he got a herniated disc. You know, when the goon comes out, which, by the way, brilliant bit. The goon's in the background, almost like part of the background.
And then comes out.
Like, I was like, what the fuck? Oh, there's a dude there. And he comes in and he attacks him. And then he got a disc and herniated disc. So Spielberg had to rearrange the shooting schedule because this motherfucker can't walk. So they used his stunt double, stuntman. And I have his name, and I'm ashamed, by the way. I don't know his name as I should because he's a fucking legend. Vic Armstrong. Vic Armstrong. So basically, they shot as much as they could with Vic, you know, all the stunt stuff while Harrison Ford healed. Short round, man.
Short round. Step on it.
Because I was probably, when I saw this probably like 92. I'm guessing. I clearly didn't see it in 84. This might surprise you. I didn't exist. But I always loved that guy. And I think it's because I was a little kid when I watched him. He was a cool fucking kid. He's like, you know, cheating Dr. Jones and you know, and accusing him of cheating. Yeah. But he also accusing him, which I'm like, good for you, Short Round. He's driving the car. There's one of the best parts in the Short Round is when he's driving and then he's looking for the antidote. And he's groping Mrs. Willie. And he goes, no time for love, Dr. Jones. And I was like,
hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love. We got company.
That's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, by the way.
Why that's great is he's basically saying, listen, if you're horny, there's times to get laid, there's times for business. This is a business time. It's such an adult thing to like think of, you know, just like, hey, no.
Hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love.
But the thing is I was at age where he was probably close to my age when I saw it. So I'll always have a soft spot. I always wonder if people who were older than me did not like Short Round. I mean, he's obviously famous in the franchise, but I also don't think people would honestly say they didn't like him. So I'm always curious to somebody like you who was older when you saw it. Did you like Short Round?
I always loved Short Round. Okay. I was you know, loved him. The actor's name is...
Oh, it's he just won the Oscar. And he deserved it, actually.
But, you know...
Ken Hu Kwan.
Yeah.
K Hu Kwan. I'm bad at names. So.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but he went to the audition for Temple of Doom because his friend was auditioning, not him. And then, you know, he somehow got the casting people's eye and had him to audition. He got the role. I thought it was excellent. Have you seen the new one, Dial of Destiny?
No. I'll see it eventually. I couldn't care.
Okay, I went to see it because I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, even though I'm not a big current Disney fan. But I went to see it on principle. I'm not going to say much about it. Maybe we'll do an episode about it. But what I kept thinking while watching it, with Indiana Jones being paired with his goddaughter, probably played by the most unlikable actress. And not the fault of the actress, but the role that she played was incredibly unlikable.
Was the movie, though, re-edited and shot so much? It's like, yeah, dude, who survives that?
I don't fucking know. All I know is, as is, I was like, why did you give me this character who's selfish and unlikable? Instead, it could have been a teenage or an adult Short Round.
Of course. Short Round should have been in Temple, even though I hate it, he should have been in Crystal Skull. The reason is, and this is something that I always take personally, is that Spielberg and Lucas do not like Temple of Doom. There is all sorts of footage of them basically saying, I mean, they course corrected their entire careers after this. And then, you know.
And I'm sure you know this, and you guys indulge too, but both, I think Spielberg had just finished a breakup, and Lucas was in a process of a divorce.
Of course. That's why it's so dark.
Hence the darkness. But yeah, no, Spielberg was quoted fairly recently, meaning like the last 5 years, it's his least favorite Indiana Jones movie. Yeah, when Crystal Skull came out, he said that. You know, Mr. Spielberg, please reconsider. Rewatch Crystal Skull again. and we'll talk.
Well, just like when you release an art, it's not yours. I've always been a fan of that. You know, like I'll be like an artist will be like, oh, I didn't love my second album because I tried to be dark. It's like, yeah, but I liked it because it's dark. So why don't you like, you know, shut up? Like I don't care. And Spielberg, and I love him to death, but it's like you've made more bad Indiana Jones than good at this point. So maybe this was like your high point. Because after this, it was goofy.
41, you know, don't shit on Temple of Doom, you know, Spielberg. And
or Lucas.
Great, because, you know, Motley Crue, one of your favorite bands, followed up one of their best albums, Shout at the Devil, with one of their worst albums, Theater of Pain. And to this day, they talk badly about Theater of Pain. And I completely agree with them. They're right. Theater of Pain is a piece of shit, except for like a couple songs. But in the case of Temple of Doom, it's an excellent film. I don't give a fuck. Oh, it's too dark. You know, grow a fucking pair of balls, Mr. Spielberg. Grow testes. All right. Yes, it's dark. So what? It's still very entertaining, rousing. It never stops. The stunt work is astounding. I'm getting here organically here, but the cart scene in the mine shaft is really, like, I was watching it today and I was fucking mind blown. Wow. And I know a lot of it was done, you know, with miniatures and stuff like that.
Miniatures are impressive on their own.
You don't even see it. You don't even realize it's a superior version of the speeder bike scene in Return of the Jedi. That's the way I look at that scene.
But I can see that.
It is fucking amazing scene, dude. Amazing scene. Just that scene alone is better than all of Crystal Skull and all of Dial of Destiny. Just that scene alone, in my opinion. Useless opinion.
I 100% agree. I think it's amazing. It just looks cool. It's intense. You know, I love that they're fighting. You know, the bad guys in the other cart. They keep switching up. They hit the little the sand, knocks them down. There's lava. I mean, it's a theme park ride. It is a theme park ride. But that's what in my days, theme park rides are made off of shit like this, where you see something that cool. It's like, oh, that we need to ride something like that. That's how fun that scene is. You know.
By the way, hashtag part 2. The guy that plays the Nazi in Raiders, you know, bald head, stash, if I remember correctly, is the same guy that he fights, you know, with the dingo that breaks rocks. Same actor.
Oh no shit! Yeah, that's a cool fight too.
And what comes before that bit is probably one of my favorite scenes from the entire franchise, and I call it Badass Indy.
Where when he's evil?
No. It's the score by John Williams, by the way, is fucking iconic. Just leave it at that. And kids, you know, being whipped and everything like that. And some guy whips a kid, and then it cuts to a push-in on Harrison Ford just standing there, like, what's up? And it punches him, and then he falls, and then the kids know, okay, it's on. We're you know. And you're talking about, you know, the cart scene is one of your favorite action scenes, but the scene in Raiders, the chase with the truck,
that's pretty awesome as well.
Is one of the best fucking action scenes ever made. Period, in my opinion. Period.
Yeah, well, so Raiders is the
last 20 minutes of Road Warrior. You know.
Oh well, yeah.
And this is when filmmaking had balls, man. Even when a movie costs like whatever amount, I think it was 20 million for Raiders. I think it was at the time in 1981.
I know
they
that
made movies in millions. It's still, you know, using another car. I'm strapped on the fucking hood of it, filming. You know, that's fucking filmmaking to me, man.
That's why they still hold up today better than anything else. That's why we're talking about this almost 38 years later, where I won't be talking about the Fast and the Furious in the next month. Who gives a shit? No, but the point is that before you could fake things, you had to do them, and the human being, the human eye, will always recognize that more. That's why anyone that does practical stunts, even somewhat, that's why the new Mad Max that can't have a Fury Road, like, you know, that wasn't on a green screen stage, and that's why did all that stuff look so good? It's because you're flipping fucking cars. Crystal Skull sucks because all that shit was
a lot of, you know,
green screen.
That whole chase scene in Crystal Skull with you know, Shia LaBeouf and LaBeouf or whatever.
In the forest, right? Yeah.
And the forest with the monkeys and the vine should have been, you know, a parallel to the chase in Raiders. But the green screen is so obvious. It takes you out of it because you don't feel the danger. You watch the chase and Raiders and even the minecart scene, which, yes, had miniatures and everything, but you feel that danger. It's tangible. It's real.
Great.
You watch on Crystal Skull, you don't feel it. And Dial of Destiny, I'm going to keep that because I have a feeling we're going to do an episode on it. I'm going to keep it. I know it's over, dude. First 3, that's it. That magic, it was magic in a bottle. We'll never be able to recapture it. So that's just what it is. And I'm happy that Dial of Destiny is the last one, but we could still go back as we are doing with Temple of Doom. So
let me say this, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Last Crusade, I will say that is an ending, at least, gotta go.
They ride off in the sunset.
And they ride off in the sunset. Yes. I mean, that's an ending. Besides Willie Scott, and obviously there's always the raft falling obviously off the cliff was a little stupid, but every movie has that.
How's that stupid?
It's just the one thing that sticks out. This is a little it goes a little far, but every Jones has that one moment, so whatever. I mean, I'm saying I'm giving you 2 examples of things that if I'm picking, I don't like, but they don't in any way affect it, and I don't care because I still love it. So I love this movie. There's no actual part of this that I think holds it down.
Well, the raft coming out of the plane, I actually love it. I love, of course, not realistic and all that shit, but I'm watching Indiana Jones, not remains of the date.
Oh my God, I love that you used the one movie. Yes,
that man's gonna relax, because it's a very ambitious scene. The one thing about the scene is if the plan is to kill them, so the dudes that are in with the mobster on the ground should have just taken a gun, bang, bang, we're done. But no, they're going to jump out of a perfectly functioning plane with parachutes to wind up in the middle of fucking nowhere, like above India or some shit.
Yeah, nowhere near the destination.
Yeah, to kill him. You could have choked him. You could have, give him poison, something. No, they jump out of the plane. So that makes no sense. But whatever, I'll go with it. But then they jump out with the boat, and then the boat hits the water. And then the whole thing there, I think it's fucking awesome. So, I'm more than willing to suspend disbelief.
They all were asleep, and they were so polite that they snuck.
They tried not to wake him up. Yeah,
I respect that. He has his hat on.
Willie Scott. Look, she yells a lot. Yeah, definitely. Her character is nothing more than your typical damsel in distress, which we've seen, in the old days a lot. That character, like old Tarzan movies. But for me, I'm like, that's okay. And so even Kate Capshaw said, "Oh, she was nothing more than damsel in distress." Okay, that's fine too. You're an old-fashioned gal. You scream where you need to scream. It didn't bother me on this watch. Yeah, she won't shut the fuck up, but
the mouth don't stop.
The mouth don't stop.
I mean, again, it's not anything I would ever fight for because I love the movie. So Life in the Big City.
Marion was ahead of her time. Marion Gators is the complete opposite of Willie Scott. She's strong, self-sufficient. She's a badass. But for 1981, the Marion character is very progressive. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you guys and dolls too, okay? And this I've noticed since I was a kid. So this movie's 1984, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's one moment in the edit where they stay on Harrison Ford one beat too long. And it makes the scene kind of like weird. You ever pick it up? You know what I'm talking about?
No, actually, I did notice a extra frame in the movie, I think, or a bad edit in the opening scene at there will be one, but I don't know what scene. They held on a little too long. Which one is it?
The scene where Indy and Short Round are in that thing where, the spikes are coming down and they're asking Willie, who's outside, to pull the lever, whatever the fuck. So there's a shot on Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, through the bricks. He goes, if you don't do, and I'm paraphrasing and I don't remember the exact line, but something along the lines of, if you don't do this, we're going to die. And then after he says to die, they stay on him for like 2 beats too many.
We are going to die.
It's weird. I always thought it was weird, even when I first saw it on VHS. It was weird. And I watched it again, and it's still weird. Well, you know, Dan Aykroyd had a cameo in the movie, right?
You know, the most important movie to anybody from Cook County is the Blues Brothers, right?
Great fucking movie. The OG, not part two. Part two shit.
Part 2 is actually considered probably a fucking offensive hate crime where I'm from. So yeah, no, just the first one. There's only one. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. I know some people are like, if you look closely, that's like, do you not recognize Dan Aykroyd's voice? Do you not know fucking Blues Brothers when you hear it? Oh, come on. No, of course he was putting a little accent, and they always kept him wide too, which that was kind of interesting. They didn't actually showcase him. He was just a part of the movie. I was like, I like that. Yeah, he gets him on the plane.
I want to just share one last bit of trivia. You know the scene where Indiana Jones, you know, is tied up and he gets whipped. So during the actual shoot, he's like tied up and getting whipped, and Barbara Streisand showed up in a dominatrix outfit to make a joke on him. I thought it was pretty fucking hilarious. And last thing I want to say about Temple of Doom. It's not the picture, but the arcade game. Bro, the amount of quarters I've spent on that game was I was at school and we would, you know, have lunchtime. I wouldn't go and eat lunch with all the other kids. I was a bit of like a loner or reject kind of dude. I had hair at the time in my face. I had my yellow fucking Sony Walkman, a trench coat. You know, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't give a fuck. So at lunchtime, across the street from my school, was an arcade, and they had Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. I love that game. The score it's the same score as from the film, has been carved in my mind ever since. And now I have like a arcade emulator here at my house. So I play like a lot of old arcade games, and I have Temple of Doom, so I play it all the time. Dun, 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 dun.
Knock yourself out. I'm gonna end with this. I think this has a lot of. I wrote down a lot of beautiful matte paintings. There's a couple like big ones that I like. The village, of course, when he walks up to the mansion. Old school technique. Love it. Always will. Just want to throw that out there. Score wise, there's one scene that I don't think gets credits, or at least I don't hear people talking about. It's a weird scene where it's like, we walk from here. And then it's just these striking chords and these birds fill the screen. It's like a horror movie. I was like, I probably rewound it. I was like, dude, dark as can be. And last but not least, here's the most important thing about this movie is that I know it's a prequel, even though I would say, honestly, up until my 20s, I didn't know, because all it is just a date change. I just thought Indiana Jones is doing different adventures. But I liked that this, to me, was setting up the Indiana Jones is always somewhere doing something. We always hear these stories. In this movie, they talk about it, even in Crystal Skull and all of them. They always mention another indie adventure we never saw. And I never loved the idea that they went back to Nazis. I thought, like, it's like, dude, you've already done Nazis. Yeah, you've done it right. That's what Raiders was. And I thought this was a great way to do it, where every time Indy is set on an adventure, it's a different vibe. And I kind of like how he has no dog in this fight. He kind of just stumbles upon, and the hero is like, well, let's go. Like, that's the Indy I like. I want that Indy just traversing land and getting to adventures. And I kind of wish they continue that instead of just the Nazis every single time. I mean, the Russians, I guess, are different, but I don't like him being in that era anyway.
So before we go, we're going to answer, let's just pick one. My caller, thingo.
If a voicemail number, it's an 888 number that we thought would be cute to do so people could leave voicemails and stuff. And if you'd like to leave one, comment, question, or anything, just have kind of fun. We do it obviously on air. Let us know in the voicemail if you don't want to say your name. If not, we're going to use it. And the number we want you to call is 888-39-27-769, which spells Arrow for the old-fashioned people that dial telephone. 888-39-27-769.
Have either of you guys ever gone ass to mouth during sex with your lovers?
Hey, John, you want to jump on that one first?
That's awesome, dude.
You can't touch me. You're not man enough. I eat your asshole alive, you bitch.
There you have it. So, bro, it was great to see you again. Cheers, my man. Cheers to all of you. Watch Temple of Doom again. It fucking rocks.
Welcome to the end screen. Because we have our most popular videos up here, our latest videos over here, our modern reviews up here, and of course, the subscribe button right here, guys. Every little bit counts, and we do appreciate the support. It's kind of hot.